Hi everybody, this is Leo Volont for part 2 in this series, Creating a Better God. In the first section we discussed how the absolute all-everything God, with its deep roots in the barbarian ethos, was found to be morally problematic. Now, in addition to those purely cognitive, philosophical, theological problems, well, in this section we will have spiritual, mystical problems to deal with too. Well, you'd think I would be deliriously happy to have any kind of even quasi-objective support for a God that comes with a significant consensus. That's to say, a consensus that's not too dismissively small. But the truths the mystics come bearing are not that welcome, and we almost wish we could shoot the messengers. You see, the spiritual and the mystical visions coincide more with the barbarian ethos than we would at first intuitively suppose. You know, we would tend to regard mysticism and spirituality favorably because all those nice, sweet, New Age people are so ready to vouch for it. Oh, to know more about mystical experiences, their content as well as their causes, see William James' 1905 classic, Varieties of Religious Experience. It's available free online. So let's look at mysticism in some detail. There have been very strong and persuasive traditions of spiritual religious mysticism, with people actually going into very effective trance states where they received overwhelmingly powerful impressions, which are difficult to refute because we can largely simulate them using psychedelic hallucinogenic drug cocktails. Yeah, I've repeatedly heard online of people having full Kundalini awakenings, but somehow it was only a coincidence that they were tripping their asses off at the time. But we also know that there have been many clean occurrences, and nobody can count the number of documented psychotic episodes that would have been counted as religious experiences if they had happened outside the psych wards. These mystics tell us of a God of oneness, a transcendental God, so high and aloof that he or it is frankly above caring about the distinctions between good and evil. We need to understand that in the oneness, well, half of everything is bad, right? The oneness of yin and yang is a blessing and a curse. Also, the transcendental God is not providential. Being immutable, unchanging, and even all-loving is another way of saying God is happy with the way things are. If you love everything, then you love nothing, right? If you, as a tiny dot in God's great universe, don't like it, well, you need to get with the big picture where you can understand just how little you matter. Look at the Hindu notion of samsara, which holds the world to be illusory. A word that has always puzzled me in that context, and so I think they've always meant to say insignificant. To the transcendental God, the world and you in it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, that might be God, but it's no God we would be looking for, right? I've met enough mystics who got that transcendental experience and were one with the transcendental God, and well, it just doesn't seem healthy. They stop caring about everything just the same way their God has. They become transcendental too. No distinctions matter any longer, and this is something nobody wants to say out loud, but it's impossible to keep them out of sex, drugs, and money scandals. To them, the rose garden is the equal of the sewage drainage pit. And they may even like the sewage better because of the greater intensity of the undifferentiated experience. You know, If quality no longer matters, then quantity takes over. Experiential magnitude is the only differentiation they have left. For them it is like flies to poop. Recognizing the social proprieties is beneath the transcendentalists. Perhaps they are morally worse than most active criminals, gamers, and perverts who at least make some effort to sidestep detection, and they're conscious enough to control for the consequences and results of their actions. Yes, if anything good can be said of hypocrites, it is that they know what's expected of them, and they pay righteousness at least the homage of trying to fake it. But the transcendentalist is indifferent and will thoughtlessly lead his or her entire flock into embarrassment by association. And every cultist I know has been repeatedly through the routine of denying accusations against their gurus, which they'd never forgiven themselves, their friends, or another devotee. So yeah, the New Age movement is enamored with the transcendental model of religion, but all of its excesses make the general public squirm with discomfort, even repulsion. So again, we have a breakdown of consensus. Nobody wants to think of God as some kind of a sicko freak, unless, of course, you're some kind of a sicko freak. Anyway, this necessity for dumping the transcendental God helps us to understand the reasons why the Zoroastrian Persians, under the guidance of Zarathustra, lowered the aim of their religious ambitions down a notch from the highest oneness to the next level down to where the dualist material universe split between light and darkness, good and evil. And they chose the good. Go towards the light was a phrase that first appears to us in the Persian language. Humans were not always moral. Persians invented that. It'd be good to remind everybody that the three wise men, the Magi, they were Zoroastrian Persians. Well, that's it for part 2. In part 3, we will talk about the issues of dualism and a word about astral projection. Catch you later.